often do you say yes when you actually a no? And have you noticed how violating your own consent makes you quietly resent your partner and rottens the whole foundation of your relationship? I'm Maya Kova, and I am excited to dive into this edgy, raw topic: how obligation kills Eros. So let's start with consent. Very often we associate consent with intimacy and sex, but consent is actually our freedom to make a choice for ourselves and act according to that choice. Now, of course, as humans, we are social creatures, and sense of belonging is a very strong core need that we all have. And sometimes we choose to do things because we want to belong versus honoring our own consent. The tricky piece here, of course, is to be aware that that's where I'm at. This is what I'm choosing to do. And you can even say it to your partner. I'm actually a no, but I love you so much that I'm going to do that. So, what happens when you not acknowledge and not notice your own consent? And you continue saying a yes when you are a no, it makes you feel unsafe. You are ended up being unsafe with the most closest person. And when you do it repeatedly, it turns into a pattern. It turns into a pattern that relationship is no longer a safe space because your authentic truth cannot be accepted for various reasons there. And the moment when you stop feeling safe in a relationship, you're going to shut down. You're going to withdraw your energy. You're going to withdraw your authentic expression. You're going to withdraw your sex, right? And that chemistry going to just start falling apart. So, violating your own consent, acting out of obligation, being with a partner who would blame you, shame you for choosing yourself or not doing something for the family or for them, that will create a crack into a beautiful building of your relationship. And if that crack is not going to be attended, what's going to happen? There's going to be more other cracks, and then the whole structure is going to collapse one day. And this is what happens in a relationship. Not being able to act out of freedom and autonomy in a relationship will gonna destroy your connection sooner or later. And that's why some people see relationship as prison because we don't have healthy templates. We grew up where our parents or our grandparents were violating each other consent left and right. And it was considered to be selfish, not to doing something for others. Now, it's very different things, right? We're kind of mixing everything in one big pot. But acting out of your consent doesn't make you selfish as long as you are aware. You are in connection with your truth. But when you act and do things out of fear, and because that is the only way you can be loved and accepted, the other person who's in charge of love and acceptance is actually a threat, not an ally, not a partner, not a safe space. Because that person controlling you, and whoever controls you controls your decisions, controls your choices. And that is not a loving, thriving, conscious relationships. That's definitely not a relationship that I am on a mission to help people to create and sustain. So it's an important issue to address. It's an important issue to name, right? It's an important elephant in a room to bring into the light. And it starts with you noticing. How often, when you say yes, it actually out of fear and obligation versus your desire, your will, your capacity, your pleasure. And I want to challenge you with a homework where you would have your no journal, where you, at least for yourself, will be tracking how often you said yes, but you actually meant no. How often you actually said no when you meant no. And ideally, have a conversation with your partner. If this is already a pattern in your relationship, then it's definitely something that you need to address and talk about and agree on having a safe space to say no and not to be blamed, shamed, and resented for it. And having that honest conversation, explaining to your partner that when you act out of your choice, when you act out of your desire, it actually brings you closer. But when you act out of obligation, it actually brings you apart. It tears you apart. Right? It puts that crack into the foundation of your relationship. And you can say something like, I'm noticing that I'm a no, and I need some time to take care of myself so I can be a yes and actually accomplish that task. Right? Or I'm right now not in a headspace to commit to this. I need a little bit more time. Getting into a habit to pause and check in with yourself. Am I a yes? Am I a no? And if I'm a no, what is it that I need? Sometimes just naming the no can turn it into a yes. Or when your partner is absolutely cool with that and your partner is like, okay, sure, no problem. That can also turn your no into a yes, where you're like, you know what? Suddenly I feel desire to do it. Because we want to be seen in a relationship. We want to be subject of love and affection and not an object that we have to serve somebody else and follow somebody else's agenda. And this is where, when we not paying attention to our partner's consent, when we violating our own consent, we stop being subjects and turning into objects. And that just feels very transactional. And that feels yucky. It kills the eros. It kills the passion. It kills the desire. Because desire is a flow. Desire is an experience that you're feeling in the moment and you're acting out of it. Desire is not something scheduled and not something that you do out of obligation. And that is a challenging topic because it confronts us to notice, what do I love in that person? Do I respect them by honoring their no? Or I'm getting so comfortable to use them to think and to feel that I'm entitled to their time, to their space, to their resources, to their energy. When you respect somebody else's no and not make it about them being a bad partner or about you not being worthy or good enough to deserve their yes, where you just honor their no, they feel closer to you. It's a gift. So do your homework, have the conversation, reflect on, are you honoring each other no's? And are there anything that needs to be improved there? And please share in the comment, what was your experience with saying yes when you are a no and how that affected your relationship, and how you navigate it. And share what one thing you are committing to do, to act out of freedom and integrity and consent in a relationship. And I'm looking forward to see you next time.